So thank you, ladies, for jumping in today and taking some time of your busy Sunday. Today's a Sunday, and just to have a little bit of fun, insight, inspiration, motivation, and take care of our inner souls that as women, we are always looking and seeking to improve ourselves in better ways. So we have connected in different ways through the wonders of social media. So thank you for coming. And today we're gonna be discovering your gaps for better life. And we're gonna be talking about why there is pain and pleasure. And I feel that there is a lot of value in pain. And maybe we think about pain like, oh, it's a bad thing, right? That's kind of the first connotation that everybody has. Like pain, it means something is bad. I have an infection, which is bad, or there's pain in your soul or your emotions, and there is something bad. So today, the intention for me is to help you change that perception of pain and maybe give you a little insight and a different perspective of life so that you can move on in life in better ways. So let me introduce myself first, and I want to share some ideas. My name is Maaike and I'm a health and wellness coach. And I want to share how this VIP day or experience came about. So I'm in a networking group with some friends, and there was a speaker that one day, and he is a contractor. So he was talking about home renovations, and he was talking about how much he goes when he goes into the house, how he goes and sees every little corner and everything to see where all the damage is, the leaks, the water leaks, the mold, the broken pipes, the foundation repairs, everything that he has to do in a house. So he goes and inspects everything to see where all the gaps are so that he can lay a foundation, a better foundation for the remodel, right? So all this time that he's speaking, I was thinking in my head, hey, this is exactly what I do as a health coach. When my clients come to me, we start having a discovery conversation. I look for all kind of the damages, all the things that they say through their words, all the things that they have experienced in their brain, in their mind, in their body, in their structure, to see where their gaps are that are holding them back, so that we can understand where we can finally do like have a solid foundation to be strong again. So I wanted to appreciate that story and that talk that day because it brought us together today, right? Thanks to that, it brought us together today. So as I was expressing what I was thinking to the group based on that conversation from the contractor, the insurance guy goes, Maaike, by the way, you should do a workshop and call it Discover the Gaps for Better Life. It's like, wow, that's brilliant. Thank you for helping me. So here we are, and I will elaborate a little bit further about what all of the gaps in life and what is this about. So after that, I remembered that 3 years ago, I wanted to do something more for myself, to be someone and to that could contribute to the world. And I signed up to become a health coach and life coach. And in one of the exercises that they led us in a live event that we went, they took us through an exercise and they said, well, after the exercise, choose a word or a phrase that resembles how you feel at this time into your own transformation, right? So my word was brave. I wanted to be brave enough to adventure into the new phase of my life and to do things that were different. So I wanted to be brave. And then my phrase was mind the gap. I don't know if have you ever gone to London or gone on a train? I ask you right now. Have you gone on a train to London? No? Well, when you go on a train, there is a visual, and the train in London says, before you go onto the wagon, the train, you have to step in and mind the gap, right? There's a gap between the rail or where you're standing to get into the train wagon. So I had that picture in my mind, mind the gap, be brave to take that step and mind the gap. So this was a visual for me. And now thinking about how it would feel, like I want to ask you, sorry. So I want to ask you right now, what is causing you pain? I just want you to think about it for a second. Is there anything in your mind, your soul, your body that is causing you pain? Just think about it. And now I want you to think how it would feel to not have that pain. So what would it be like to be on the other side of pain? I bet it would be beautiful, right? That's what we're always asking or wanting. So the gap is everything that is getting in the way from where you are stuck to the other side, that you want to probably feel better, you want to feel good, you want to have more energy, you want to just enjoy life in a better way without the pain. So today we will have an experience, or today we will have a little opportunity for you guys to express where in life was or is your pain, if you feel like it, and what has helped you also, or what are you looking for. So what is this VIP going to be about? You will learn about the value in pain. Our speakers, I will share my story a little bit more, and we will all have a trustworthy environment for us to express what we're feeling. And Marisa will share her story, and she will guide us to a little exercise to help us also release some of that pain or stuckness. And also we will have all the guest speakers, or all the guests that are coming today, you will also have an opportunity to speak. So let me share with you that 40s, well, before we proceed, I always kind of, okay, so let's proceed with my story, and that will open up a little bit more, if that's okay. So 40s for me made a big mark in my life. Yeah. 40s is also a level, we achieve a level of maturity in life, and it's also a culmination in time of our life that our reproduction system starts failing, starts kind of going in the downside, right? And when there is a culmination, there's also a birth that is coming. So we are in a transition phase, 40s or 50s, where all women have a different part in their menopause. But I think this is a very important time in life. And I feel, and I believe that every human being is born with a purpose. And when we are conceived with a gift. And this gift is brought to us, and some people discover that gift or that purpose in life early on, and some others take a lifetime to discover it, right? So when I turned 40, I felt like I was in the top of the mountain. I was feeling really amazing. Everything was running well. And I was in the top, and I was celebrating my 40th birthday with friends and family. And at the same time, it was a closure, because that's when we got our visa to come to live to the US. We used to live in Mexico. Back then I was working with my mom, and I did not say anything that I was leaving, because I didn't know how long it would take. So all of a sudden it's like, hey, surprise, I'm leaving the country. I'm leaving and going to live with my family to another country, not only another state, but another country. So here I am, pack your bags, and on to a new adventure at 40. So here I am 15 years later, talking to you about all the things that have happened in the meantime. And that has been my gap right there, right? A new phase in life that has been my gap. Sometimes life takes us places without a perfect plan. At least it's not our perfect plan. But up there, he has a perfect plan. So he knew where he was taking me. I dropped everything. I was working with my mom, as I mentioned, and I took on to the adventure. So fast forward, this has shaped me into the person that I have become this past 15 years. And this has been at the same time I came here and I started to break down. And let me share with you how I started to break down. So as I came, some of my body parts were not functioning anymore. And that, I'm meaning I was not being able to hear. I had 2 operations of my hearing. I didn't have, like, I could not hear half of what people were saying. That was isolating me a lot. So I lost hearing. I got it back with an operation. Thank goodness for science and for medicine, because I got it back. Then, I don't know if you guys, but 40s also my eyesight. So I started feeling insecure because I was driving and my husband was going, what the heck is going on with your driving? You're driving so terrible. It's like, what? I didn't feel it, but he felt insecure with my driving. So I understood that it was my eyesight. I was not seeing well. So I needed some lenses or contacts. So that changed. Later on, I felt night sweats, very uncomfortable, breast pain, the C word comes to my mind, brain fog. It's like, what is happening to me? Joint pain, what the heck is happening to me? So these pains took me to seek help, seek solutions, and connect with professionals. I slowly understood that the vehicle to discover the gaps of life have been disconnected me from my gifts. So that was the way my pains, I was totally disconnected from my true purpose. And my pain led me slowly to the road to discover that joy and happiness again. So as everything in life, like if we don't have pain, it's like blah, like life is just like blah, right? It's like flat, like there is no searching for something. Because when we have pain, it takes us out of our comfort zone to find and reignite, discover new things. So that gives us contrast in life, and that leads us to appreciate life in a better way. If we don't have pain, we don't know what not having pain is. So it's very flat. So pain allows us to appreciate our wellness, right? So through my coaching program, my clients really learn how to dig deep into and understand where that pain is coming from, and to give a light at the end of the tunnel to decide what to do to start releasing those pains and to open space for something new, to discover new experiences and have a new adventure. So without this step, it is very hard to make progress in health goals, because it's very difficult to understand where they're coming from. So I think there's a big gift in this phase, especially in life. But every phase has its difficulties in life, right? A baby needs to learn how to walk, and they need to fall 1,000 times. And they are not worried about, oh, I fell again. It's like, well, they just get up and keep going. But as adults, we start having like, oh, I fell. I'm scared to fall again, so I won't try anymore. So menopause, for me, in my case, menopause and brain fog led me to find new ways of eating. And I was feeling so lonely, and I started to seek for groups and people that were like-minded. So that's where I met Mariana. And that's where I met another friend who I went for a bike ride this morning. And they opened up a possibility for me to discover more about myself, my inner gift. So what happened when I joined this reading club, I was feeling so lonely because my children were leaving the nest. They were leaving the house. So in addition to all my breakdowns, my menopause, all the things that I was struggling, I was feeling lonely as well because no more kids at home. If I'm not a mom, now what? What is it of me if I'm not a mom? So I was really feeling a void, and I needed to fuel that gap, and I didn't know where or how. So joining this reading club really helped me reconnect with something that I had left in Mexico, as I have a degree of psychology, and that my inner nature is to help women or to help people feel better with themselves. That is my true nature. But I had left a part of me back in Mexico, and menopause brought me back to that connection, because when I went to this reading club, I was feeling so lonely. I was able to express my pains, my feelings, and I was heard. And I think for me, that was the most precious gift I could ever have someone listen to me without judgment and to be able to express myself. So that reconnected me to my true purpose and gave me the opportunity to share my gifts with others. So today I want to invite you guys to express a little bit about your pain, which has given you maybe an opportunity in life, because my pain gave me a possibility, an opportunity in life to reconnect, and maybe it did for you too. So I want to invite you, my guest speaker, Marisa, to share what are your pains, or what led you to who you are, and what led you to be who you are today.
Thanks, Maaike. Sure. Well, right now I'm a certified rapid transformational therapist, a hypnotherapist, and an EFT practitioner. But since you mentioned about your story about, you're turning into your 40s, I have a story for you about my 40s. I'm in my early 40s. I'm younger than you, but my story started last year, when after 13 years of not being able to get pregnant, all of a sudden I was hit with a surprise. And I'm very blessed to say now I have a 6-month-old. Yeah. So how did that happen, and how did that come about? Well, my story goes back to a really long time ago, to childhood, where I experienced a lot of trauma. And not only did I experience a lot of trauma, I became very depressed in my teenage years. I had severe depression. I really couldn't handle being outside where there's a lot of people. I could only handle like one-on-one. If there were more than 2 people in the room, I would get so scared. I just wanted to hide. So that went on for a long time, and I didn't have anybody in my life to help me. I really struggled. So the only person really that I could count on was me, so young. The adults around me couldn't see that I needed help, and I just felt very helpless. So I really wanted to be a psychiatrist, and I went to school to get a psychology degree. But I also was met with a lot of financial struggles. I didn't have the support system. So I decided to go into a different field, but I still did a minor in psychology with the hopes of always going back and becoming a psychiatrist, because I felt that, I needed to go out and help people, because I didn't have the help growing up, going through all my traumas, my depression. So my depression, even though it got better throughout the years, I still struggled with social interaction and a lot of things. And then I met my husband, I got married, I had my daughter at 29. I had my first daughter, and it was very difficult for me to get pregnant with her. So after 3 years, I was so happy, she came into my world. She was like a blessing to me because I felt like I had no more purpose in life, right? What was the purpose? I was suffering, but she brought me purpose. It was like a blessing, having her, she gave me the motivation to fight, to keep going. So she became my purpose. And, she was born, and then my husband, was injured, and he had a lot of pain, and pain brought depression and anxiety into his life. So here I am recovering from my own traumas. Now I'm dealing with a spouse now that all of a sudden becomes ill with depression and anxiety due to pain. And this is very common when people get injured and they can't handle severe pain. So he hurt his back, and the pain was so unbearable that, after a while, he became so deeply depressed. I would leave the house in the morning, he would be in the couch, and I would come home from work and he'd still be in the couch. He couldn't, get up. He couldn't function, basically. Not only that, then a few years later, my sister-in-law became mentally ill. And then I found myself having to coach my brother and my family about mental illness and having to convince them that she really needed help. And I think it was at that point that I said, not only had I had to come through the struggle of depression, find a way within myself to come out of it, I'm surrounded by people that are, depressed. This is like, I have to find a solution. I have to find a way to help people because, the standard method right now is not really helping. You go to a psychiatrist, they just give you a prescription. And the medicine, all it does is numb you, right? It numbs you so that you don't feel. So you're walking around not being able to feel. And it's great because you don't feel depressed, but then you don't feel all your other emotions either. And that's kind of scary. You need to feel, right? That's part of being a human, is you have to experience all emotion. So I was struggling because I really wanted to go back and finish my degree in psychology, but I disagreed with the standards of science right now and how psychology, that whole industry works. So I finally found a method that was more natural, and it totally agreed with my beliefs and what I experienced, and that was hypnotherapy. And I was able to better myself and get through all of those, limiting beliefs that I had, from childhood, and have a breakthrough within me. But I was also able to help my husband break through his anxiety, get him back to work, get him functioning. And with all that work that I did, I removed the blocks that I was carrying within my body that was preventing me from having another child. And once I finally finished that process, right, of healing, because there's layers, we accumulate layers throughout our life. It starts from childhood, and sometimes it even starts when we're in the womb, believe it or not. So as soon as, the baby's created inside of a mother's body, that baby is feeling everything the mother's feeling. So if the mother is going through traumatic events, that baby is absorbing everything that the mom's feeling. So your beliefs, your blocks, they start forming then. And that's the programming that's going to drive your whole life. It starts from that point. So everything that you experience, everything that you learn, and going back to what Micah said, like when you're a baby, you have to learn how to crawl, how to eat, right? We have to teach everything, right? So we also learn, our belief system starts building from that stage. And as we grow older, we wonder, well, what's going on here? Well, you're still working off of the belief system that you acquired as a child. And children interpret things very differently than adults. And unless we unblock and work through those and find out exactly what are those beliefs that we acquired as children, how did we interpret our experience, and where are we holding the pain, right? Because we hold on to pain in our body. And then our body expresses it later on, because that's the only way it could communicate to us, saying, hey, you suppressed your emotions and you held on to this pain. And I have it right here. It's on your leg, it's on your arms, it's in your joints. But it's time for you to deal with these emotions that you've been suppressing for so long. So let me give you some pain. So, you start having these, like, where is it coming from? Well, it's your body communicating to you, speaking to you, letting you know that you haven't dealt with your emotions. You haven't dealt with your limiting beliefs, all that, those blocks that you accumulated, those emotions that you suppressed in your body, and they're held there in your body, wherever it is. And that's what, happened to me. Once I worked through finally all those blocks, I had a lot of them. It was just like that. I'm like, surprise, you're going to be a mom. And it was totally unexpected. I actually thought I was getting into menopause. And I'm like, yeah, finally. I was tired of having my period. I've had it for so long, finally getting to menopause. And then it was like, nope, we have a different surprise for you, right? And it's been a blessing, having a baby in my early 40s. It wasn't an easy pregnancy. As you get older, your body is different. But these are the miracles, right? That could happen once you work through those suppressed emotions in your body, and your body feels free. Now it can do the things that it needs to do. And with menopause, it's the same thing. It's your body kind of going through the process of kind of showing you, okay, it's the body's changing, right? What is it that's unresolved? As all of the changes are going through, we experience different symptoms in our bodies, and everybody's different. And, really looking into the body and figuring out, what have we been suppressing, and what part of the body have we been holding on to those emotions, because that's how the body's going to communicate back to you. It's kind of going through, like when the butterfly finally comes out of the cocoon, it breaks through, it's going through that process, but the body's kind of letting you know, okay, we're going through a change, but here's things you still need to deal with to, finish the whole process of this change into your next, process of life. And, that has been my experience. And I've worked with a lot of women that have gone through symptoms with menopause. And, it always goes back to those suppressed emotions. But, it can be, dealt with. It can be, you can deal with the emotions, you could release out of them. And not only that, your body is like this wonderful, it's like the most magnificent computer. It's the most sophisticated computer on the planet. It can heal itself. We don't give enough credit to our own body and what it can do. But if you look at nature, you don't see wildlife going to the doctor or complaining, I have joint pain here. They naturally, they know how to heal their own bodies, right? So we are part of nature. Our body's already programmed to heal itself. We just don't know how.
Mhm.
And it's something we just have to learn. It's realizing that once we tap into our subconscious, we could come, our minds is the programmer of the supercomputer, which is, the whole body. And if we learn how to tap into that, we can command our bodies to heal properly and without the side effects of everything, in combination with, a healthy diet, right? Because everything that you put in your body affects our body too. So the combination of both could really transform your life, it could transform your body, and you can heal. You just have to trust the process and trust that you have that power. You have that power within you to change anything.
Mhm.
So I hope my story, inspires one of you somehow. And if you have any questions, let me know and we'll let other people share their stories. And then later on, I'll just go through a little technique and how to kind of, whenever you feel down, depressed, or with anxiety, as we all go through that process, we can use this technique, and it's called the tapping technique, to just, get back to center, and really focus and release that anxiety and start feeling better. And it only takes a few minutes. It's like a quick technique that really works. So I'll let the floor open to anybody else that wants to share their story.
Thank you, Marisa. This was amazing, and getting to know each other and just the liberation of being able to express ourselves. And I want to welcome Beth also into the line. I know that she has been dealing with so much pain in her life, especially through her last probably 5 years. We will hear from her in a little bit if she wants to talk about it. But I want to just fill you up, Beth, a little bit about what we're doing. I shared my story and how I became a health coach and what led me from 40s to 55. Right now, that was all my gap and everything that I learned through menopause that has led me to who I am today. And you know me good too. So, and Marisa just shared her story of how she became an RTT, which is a rapid transformational therapist, and also EFT, which is what is
It's a
it?
tapping technique.
Tapping technique. So we're just sharing our stories in a trust environment, because there's so much liberation. And when we are able to express what we feel from a deep heart, and hopefully that can lead you to kind of solve a little bit about your pain. And then we can do the exercise that Marisa is going to share with us. So Mariana, do you want to go next and share with us some of your aches and pains in life?
I would, but I get very emotional.
Okay, that's totally fine. Is there anything that you want to share about what we shared? Anything that you connected with, if you feel like it?
Right. Like in my 40s, like I started feeling, like a little different. So I kind of, felt like that was a connection with, the whole 40 thing. And then what Marisa was saying about depression.
That really hit home with something.
Right.
That you're struggling. You have to struggle with that in the past too.
Well, I'm not even sure, if that's what it is. Because I have almost like a fear of being like mental, like with mental illness or whatnot, because my grandmother was, sick. And so I tend to have a fear of that, accepting it or even acknowledging it, or I've gone to counseling with different avenues through insurance, and it's never really worked. I mean, there was one time that I did go and it helped a little bit, but there wasn't really that much I don't feel like, I still felt like there wasn't that much growth. So like I've kind of given up on that, you know. So
So
I kind of,
one thing to tell yourself is you're not your grandma, right?
right.
You are not your grandma. You're Mariana.
Mhm.
So you have to keep reminding yourself that, even though she suffered from mental illness, just like I had all these people in my life that also suffered, I'm not them and they're not me. So you're
Mhm.
totally a different person than grandma. So just keep I'm going to share another story if I can. So since I was little, my parents always shared the story with me that on my birthday, I never met my grandmother from my dad's side. So they always share that my grandma died on my birthday.
Mhm.
And because they kept repeating that over and over again, I was always sad on my birthday. So
Mhm.
every year my birthday came, I felt like I wasn't worthy of celebrating my birthday because it was a sad day, even though I never met that grandma. And although that might have been true that she died on the day that I was born, that has nothing to do with me as a person. But I had that belief because it was embedded with me because they kept repeating it over and over again until finally I said, what the heck? You know, this doesn't make any sense. Like every year I'm sad on my birthday and I'm stopping myself from celebrating my birthday. Like I can't even be happy on my birthday because I feel like I should be sad. I should be mourning the death of somebody I didn't even meet. I had to I had to like remove that belief. It was a limiting belief that was installed in me. It wasn't even mine. It was because they just kept saying it over and over again as a child that I believed it to be true. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Until I said, wait, I'm not the grandma, it just happened. She might have died on that date, but that has nothing to do with me, that I should still be celebrating my life, right?
Mhm.
Whatever reason she died, it wasn't my fault. So because they kept repeating that, it made me feel like it was my fault that she died, and that was not true. That was just a limiting belief that I acquired because as children, we don't know how to interpret these things as we hear them. And then we create a belief that makes no sense in our heads, right? Because children can't rationalize yet.
Right.
So you need to tell yourself and just keep saying it over and over again. Write yourself a note, put it in the mirror. I am not my grandma. Just keep telling yourself because you're not.
Right.
And, it could be, and we don't know, right? But it could be that because as a child, you were growing up with your grandma being sick, and that was always around you, that now you acquire that fear. And you need to let go of that fear because you're not your grandma. So you really, and the only way to get over that limiting belief is to rewire a new one in. And in order to rewire the new belief in is you have to keep reminding yourself over and over and over again, because your mind only learns by repetition. So you've heard of affirmations, right?
Right.
Where you tell yourself positive statements. So you have to do that, like make it your affirmation every day, put it in the mirror, put sticky notes, keep reminding yourself over and over, do it for like 30 days, every day. And you're going to notice how you're going to feel like relieved and different at the end of those 30 days.
Mhm.
Because it's really, even going to talk therapy, you may just talk about it, but the belief is still, that inner child that believes she's her grandma is still inside. So we really need to convince that inner child that's inside that she's not her grandma.
Right.
That she's a strong little girl. She, it's not her depression that she's holding on to, and you got to let it go. That was grandma's.
Mhm.
I hope that helps.
It does.
Try it.
It does actually. Just acknowledging that it's a limited belief and hearing that, because a lot of times people would be like, well, you're just too sensitive, or, like, you must be crazy because, oh, your grandma did that, or, just statements that people make. And I didn't even I didn't realize that that has an impact. Because I grew up in a family that really doesn't they don't really pay attention to the words. And so they kind of just blurt things out without any kind of rhyme or reason. They just kind of like say things, and it's sometimes very harsh. And you're kind of like, wait a minute, is this what you think? I mean, like, now that I'm like in my 40s, I'm like thinking, like I've learned a lot with Maaike, like just to learn to stop those, statements from other people, like, you're saying it, but I don't need to like really take it in. So yeah, I think that's really beneficial for me, that you shared that, because it just makes me stronger, I think.
Yeah, words do impact us, and we don't understand the power of words. And like my family, right, it was the same thing, and I had to educate them. Even when my sister-in-law became very ill, I mean, she was severely ill, where we had to put her in a mental institution for a while. They would make comments, oh, she's just crazy, oh, she's just and I'm like, you can't just say that. She has an illness. It's not that she's just crazy. It's that you don't understand what's going on, and you need to learn that you can't say certain things like that. Don't just ignore it, that somebody's crazy and you're just saying these things. They had a hard time because they didn't know any better. They were raised also in an environment where they were not taught that words can impact a child, that can impact you. So we can't really like blame them or be angry because they didn't know any better either, right? They don't know any other way. They only know what they know. But we can change ourselves as we become aware, and we could educate our children better. We can go back and teach them as well. Like I had to teach my whole entire family about mental illness, and not to treat people the way they were treating it before, and really realizing, well, now they're more careful with their words, where before they would be very insulting, right? And say things they shouldn't say, just like your family. So as you progress and you learn, you're going to find yourself teaching them, say, this is how you impacted my life with your words. And you should really change the way you speak, because that's impacting your children. It's impacting my children. And once they realize, they start also changing. It might take a little while, but they'll also change.
Right.
And I would like to add to that also nutrition is very, very important towards mental health. So that was my channel for me, because I also 40s came and my brain fog came, and I thought first thing also Alzheimer, dementia. What can I do for my brain to change this situation without knowing I was going through menopause? So for me, nutrition was the biggest thing that made me change, that changed my brain and changed all my menopause symptoms went away thanks to eating for my brain. So adding to that, the good, healthy nutrition is very, very important to have your brain function better so that you can speak better words, because if our brain does not have the nutrients, it won't connect what it needs to connect so that we can take care of all the other actions. So it's very, very important.
Yes, absolutely.
So very, very important. So thank you, ladies, for sharing. And I wanted to open the microphone to Beth if she wants to if you want to share some of your pain in life and what have you learned.
Okay, I'll share. So I knew Mikey through the swimming. Our boys were swimming together, and I was a very active person, and I was actually hit on a road bike. I was doing a bicycle ride with my husband out up near Conroe, and I was hit by a pickup and injured very bad. My femur went through my pelvis and broke my hip and socket, and fractured 4 or 5 ribs in the clavicle. So anyways, that was a traumatic thing. And it's pretty much changed my life ever since. And so I thought I would recover and I'd be just fine, but that's not really the way it turned out. So after I got out of the hospital, I went through the PT and all the exercises and everything, but my pain never really went away. And I had pain more so than I should have. And I kept telling people about it, and it was down in my foot. And so they did x-ray it in case they missed something, but that was just fine. But anyways, with all this going on, I started actually having terrible panic attacks. I was like, 6-7 months out of the, out in the physical therapy. So I should have been, doing more than I was doing. And people just kept, the physical therapist just said, keep working at it and all that. And I just started having these terrible panic attacks. And that was as bad as anything, as bad as getting hit by the pickup truck, because I had a fear inside of me that just like I was just paralyzed. And one of the things that comes with that is just nobody can help me. So you feel helpless. And so I had to go through a lot. I had to go through 3 psychiatrists. I finally got to down at Methodist Hospital. I actually went to an outpatient program that was very expensive. Our insurance pays a little, but not near enough for mental health. And but it was a lifesaver. I did have to go on some medicines, but I learned a lot down there. It was from 9 to 4 every day, and I rode the bus. Downtown and got on the train. So just doing all that was like huge for me because I was afraid to get out of the house. And, so I learned things like in the morning, we would have group classes with other people that were having problems and all different kinds of problems. And we would have group classes. And then in the afternoon, we would meet three times or with 3 different therapists. They had all kinds of specialists, like for anxiety, pain, regular psychiatrists or psychologists. And so that was a lot of talk therapy and everything. But in the group classes, I learned like art therapy. And so one of the things is when you're distracted doing something, like I never did anything, with art except like through elementary school. But what I learned when they taught us, when you're actually focusing on something else, you don't feel the pain because you're so focused. And they also had music therapy like that you picked an instrument that you didn't know. And I picked piano. So they had one of those electrical pianos. And so you're so concentrated on finding the notes and things. You weren't thinking about your pain at that moment. And those are some of the coping skills that I learned. And I've learned all kinds of things in the holistic area of medicine. I found a place in Arkansas that worked with people like me. I ended up getting diagnosed with a thing called complex regional pain syndrome. So it comes with like after a trauma, it's a rare disease. And what happens is your mind is still stuck in the fight or flight part of your nervous system. So your brain thinks it's still in trauma. So your sensory nerves are sending pain signals to your brain, and your body's trying to protect itself. And so my muscles like tighten up because they're trying to protect me, and it tightens over the blood vessels and the nerves, and that's how it creates pain. And so it's a chronic pain situation. So I'm still with that, and I've learned a lot about nutrition. In Arkansas, we had to do a food sensitivity test and find the foods that didn't really, rock with you. And I learned a lot of different modalities, things that are like, like the TENS unit. It was different than TENS. It was called microcurrent. And there was all kinds of different things. And I just learned a lot about relaxation, meditation, all those kind of things that Maaike talks about, trying to educate us all. So I'm on my way. I've kind of come around with like learning how to manage the pain. I will say, we do get stuck between, I know the body can heal ourselves, but you do get stuck between Western medicine and the holistic type, because we do all have to go to our doctors. And, like I was supposed to have a bone biopsy because I've got some kind of growth up in my jaw. Well, right before I was going to have the biopsy, they said my EKG was not correct. And so then I had to go see a cardiologist. So then I had to be put on, a different medicine or whatever. So it is hard, I will say, because you have to meet with your doctor once a year or whatever, and they want to put you in medicines. If your blood work doesn't work out, you have to decide, well, what am I going to do? So I think that's a hard thing for me.
Thank you, Beth. And going back to the part that you did not hear from my introduction, we started talking about there's value in pain, and pain leads you to, it's the way the body starts speaking to you so that you can mind the gaps. Exactly what you're talking about, minding the gap. There's a gap between where you are with your pain to where you want to be without the pain, that relief. And right now your gap is in between deciding who to listen, Western medication and holistic, right?
Right.
And the gap is right there, which is the struggle and your confusion. But at the same time, who do you think you need to trust in order to get well?
Yeah, you have to trust your body.
You have to trust your body, exactly. So your
Right.
body speaks wisdom. So you need to learn how to detach, like listen to one idea and listen to the other, and then let go and say, ask your body and your wisdom, say, hey, lead the way. And your body will lead the way with a sign, like your body, your entire body will experience like a relaxation, and it will tell you what to do.
Right.
Because if we're too tight into the mindset of, okay, this is an opinion right here, there's an opinion right there, which one should I go? You're acting from your brain trying to lead you, and your brain is always going to try to keep you safe.
Right.
So it does not want anything new or different. But when you trust your body's telling you exactly what to do. So kind of it's hard to disconnect from the brain, but your body will tell us. And I think that leads us to Marissa's exercise, which is beautifully kind of linking into this, because this is going to be very helpful for all of us.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Your mind, like Maaike said, will always lead you to what's familiar and will always resist the unfamiliar. So if pain has become something that's familiar, that's where your mind will always bring you back to, because it's going to resist what's unfamiliar. And right now, unfamiliar to you is feeling good, right? Being
Right.
without pain.
Well, I've learned now, like, with this complex regional pain syndrome, if you stress your body too much, then that's when it's going to flare. And so I know Maaike was kind of, I've known her for a long time, so I kind of had the same idea, where I know she would do lots of exercise and, work really hard, and that's kind of how I was. But now I have to listen to my body more, like, okay, harder isn't always better. Just do enough. And if your body starts talking like, oh, this is too much, sit down and take a rest, and, manage it that way.
See,
That's right.
you're being led to your intuition right now.
Mhm.
So that's exactly it. It's not what somebody tells you. It's like, it's not about doing it harder, it's doing it wiser. And that's that intelligence that you have. We are all born with an intelligence, but we are not educated to trust it or how to become aware that it even exists.
Right.
So when you kind of start connecting and becoming aware through all the exercises that you have done through food, and noticing, okay, what food helps me feel better and take care of the inflammation.
Right.
What food makes me more painful? But it's only through experimentation that you learn that. And every program can guide you, but the programs that you go into is like they need to lead you to connect to your true wisdom, so that you can come to the other side without pain.
Yeah.
You can go to,
I will tell the other lady that was speaking first, this does take a lot. It's just not an overnight thing. All this stuff, learning about our body, just takes every day. Learning.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a process, right?
Right.
Everything is a process. Well, if you guys are ready, I'll take you through this simple exercise that you can use. And it's called EFT. It's a tapping technique. And what it does is we are tapping with our fingers on certain energetic points in our body. So it's based on an old Chinese tradition. And I'm sure some of you have heard of acupuncture, right? You're familiar with that. The acupuncture uses needles, and they place these needles on energetic points in your body to release the tension and pain. The tapping technique is similar, except it uses your fingers to tap in those meridians within your body to do the same thing. So you don't have to go and put needles on those areas. So what we're going to use is our fingers, and we just use 2 fingers. But before we start, let's just take a deep breath in and breathe out. Just release any tension in your body that you have from the day. Just take a deep breath in and exhale. Just release any tension, any worries. Again, take a deep breath in, hold, and breathe out. So just notice how your body feels after you've done those breaths. And now we're going to start with our hands. So if you bring your hand up in front of you, just like this, it's called a karate chop. And we're gonna start tapping. You just use 2 fingers. And we're gonna start tapping right here on the side of your hand. And as we tap, we're gonna say a statement. So just repeat after me. Even though
Even though
I have felt pain and
felt pain.
anxiety,
And anxiety.
I deeply and profoundly love myself. And you say it again. Even though I have felt pain and anxiety, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Now we're going to move to other points of our body. We're going to start at the top of our head. We're going to tap there and we're going to continue with our statement. Even though I have felt pain and anxiety, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Moving on through our third eye. Even though I have felt pain and anxiety, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Now we're going to go over here to the corner of our eyebrow right here. Right here. Even though I have felt pain and anxiety, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Now we're going to move at the end of our eyebrow right here and we're next to our eye. And we're going to tap there. Even though I have felt pain and anxiety, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Now we're going to move over here right under the eye, our cheekbone right here. Even though I have felt pain and anxiety, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Now we're going to go to our upper lip right over here. Even though I have felt pain and anxiety, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Now we're going to move to our chin right under the lip. Even though I have felt pain and anxiety, I deeply and profoundly love myself. Now we're going to move to our collarbone. We have our collarbones right here at the end of the collarbones. And we could use both hands or just one. Even though I have felt pain and anxiety, I deeply and profoundly love myself. And now we go back to our karate chop and we're just going to tap in our hand. Now we're going to start again from the top of our head, but this time we're going to say a positive statement. So top of our head, even though I have felt pain and anxiety, I am now free and I love myself. Third eye, I am free and I love myself. Corner of your eye, I am free and I deeply love myself. At the end of your eyebrow, I am free and I deeply love myself. Your cheekbone, I am free and I deeply love myself. To your upper lip, I am free and I deeply love myself. Your chin, I am free and I deeply love myself. To your collarbones, I am free and I deeply love myself. Into the karate chop again. I'll just tap there for a moment. Now we're going to start again at the top of our head. And we're going to say, I am enough and I deeply love myself. To our third eye, I am enough and I deeply love myself. To the corner of your eyebrow, I am enough and I deeply love myself. To the end, the corner of your eye, I am enough and I deeply love myself. To your cheekbone, I am enough and I deeply love myself. To your upper lip, I am enough and I deeply love myself. To your chin, I am enough and I deeply love myself. To your collarbones here, I am enough and I deeply love myself. And back to your karate chop, and let's tap there for a little while. So now we can stop. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. One more time, just take a deep breath in and release. Now I want you to notice, how does your body feel? Does it feel the same when you started tapping? Does it feel more relaxed? How does it feel? Does it feel the same?
What I noticed is it felt like a little workout. Like you feel after you do a little workout. It's like now that we stopped, while we're doing it, it doesn't feel so much. But now it feels like a relief, like a serotonin, that it kind of soothes your body and it just enlightens in a very specific way. Like you finish an exercise and you feel energized, but relaxed.
Yes.
That's how I felt.
Mariana, how did that feel?
For me, relaxed, like just, nice and calm and mellow, relaxed.
What about you, Beth?
Oh,
Your
you're
mic
muted.
is, yeah.
You're muted.
Like Mikey said, like it felt like a workout. And then when I stopped, and then I felt, I don't know, calmer, but I guess when I was doing it, I was focusing so much on what the words were, and where I was doing the tapping.
Yeah. Well, it's as simple. You don't even have to say the words at first. The words are not so much important, but they do help, because as you're tapping into those energy points, what you're trying to do is you sending a signal to your brain, right? As you're tapping, the neurons are firing and it's sending a signal to your brain. And as you say the statement, so if you're feeling pain, then you say, even though I have in the past tense felt pain, I still love myself. You know, I deeply and profoundly love myself.
That's like affirmations.
Yes. And then you reverse that, but you're going to reverse it to what you want to feel. And then you say that again. So by tapping, you're sending the signals to the brain. And by speaking the words, you're telling your brain how to feel. So if you're feeling a little bit depressed, you do the same thing. As you're tapping, you say, even though I have felt depressed, you're going to say it in the past tense.
Right.
Because it no longer is in your body. I deeply and profoundly love myself. And then the next round, you're going to say what you want to feel. I feel happy and light. And you keep repeating that message, those words. And you can, you know, just do this exercise. It doesn't take that long, you know, every morning or whenever you feel something, right? If we feel anxious or depressed, when we start getting that feeling approaching, you know, just take a moment and you can just do that. You could just go in the bathroom and do it. It takes you like 5-10 minutes and it changes, because what you're doing is just sending a signal to the brain to stop feeling whatever it's feeling and shift in a different direction.
That makes
Any questions you guys might have?
Any questions?
I have a question. So how do you know, like, what blockage, what, you know, like, what blockages you have? Because, like, for, you know, like, I didn't even realize that what I just shared before until, like, I started hearing questions being asked, like, what is your fear, or what is, you know, like, what is your pain, or whatnot. So how do you know, like, how do you acknowledge what's going on if you don't even know? You know what I mean? Like, you don't, like, for instance, when I was pregnant, now looking back, I think I might have had postpartum, but I didn't even realize that. So how do you know, like, when you're going through something, that there's a blockage?
So you might not realize it at the moment. This is why, like, I do hypnosis a lot, because, you know, we're able to tap into the subconscious mind, where everything, that's where all your memories are stored. Everything in your life is there, and we're able to retrieve that information. But if you can't afford to do something like that, you can do a simple exercise, and until it involves meditation, right? So you sit in that pain or whatever you're going through, that feeling. It usually starts with your feelings. So let's say you're feeling angry right now and you don't know where is this coming from, right? Just sit with that anger and meditate and just ask the body, like, where's this coming from? Where in my life have I experienced this anger? And just write down, okay, then a memory might pop up, you know, and then just keep digging further and keep asking the question, okay, where else in my life have I experienced this anger? Then maybe another memory might pop up. And you keep asking until no more memories comes up, right? And then as you look at those memories, you start analyzing, okay, when I experienced that memory, how did that affect me when I was going through that experience? Because what you're going to find is where exactly you acquire that anger. That's where the block is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You just keep asking yourself questions.
Okay.
But you have to do it like in a meditation form where you relax, where you can listen to your body. Your body's got, you know, will communicate back to you, but you have to pay attention. So by just asking that question and writing it down, maybe it might take you a little while, like even if you write it down, maybe an hour later, something will pop up in your head and a memory will come up. And you're like, oh my God, I remember that. When I was a kid, this happened to me. Write it down. And then as you observe that memory, find out, okay, how did I feel when I experienced that episode? And that's just like a longer process to do it. But that's a good way of finding out, right? And yes, like asking good questions, it's a good way, but you may not know how to ask the right questions right now. But it's always good to like have these support groups where you learn from each other too, because then you'll go back home and you'll know how to ask yourself better questions as you do that exercise.
Right.
Yes, and as you experience right now, it's through opening conversation. I always like to say everything that happens in a conversation or in the coaching conversation is perfect and it's meant to be. Because right now you felt shook up with the 40s, right? Our stories. And that resonated with you and brought up something that was buried inside you that you didn't even know existed, but it brought it up to the surface. And that's why I feel these conversations, and that's what my reading club helped me understand, that there is power in group settings and there's power in expressing and sharing our story, because that's how we connect our own dots from listening to others and understanding so many things and then being able to express. There is so much power in expression.
Right.
And like Louise Hay, I don't know if you have heard about her books, but she says you cannot heal what you cannot feel. So until you get to feel, and pain usually wants us, like when we feel pain, we want to move away from it. That's a normal reaction. It's like, I don't want it, take it away from me. That's why you go to a doctor and you want an Advil to take the pain away. Well, you're disrupting the teaching. So your pain is trying to teach you something that needs to be taken care in your body. So when you address it and you acknowledge and just say, what are you trying to teach me? Ask it. It's like, what is it that I need to learn throughout this pain? And let it just kind of flow. And maybe the answer won't come right away, but it will come throughout the day. And the universe has so much power to give us signals. It might come through a song, through a conversation, through a sign, through opening an email. And that's how it led me to go to like keto. I went keto through an email that I received because I wanted to improve my brain. And that led me to learn more about the brain. And you start receiving the signals, but you need to open that door to receive the signals. And the way to open is to ask questions, like it happened today, right? We asked the right questions and you opened up to a world of possibility and opportunity to learn more about yourself and to connect to yourself in a different way and in a friendly environment, that's why coaching is so powerful. Because it leads you to the places that you need to go, whereas you would never go with a traditional way of medicine. To answer Beth's question, it's like, yeah, there is a lot of value in medicine because they can save you from your life, right? You were able to go to the hospital and get yourself repaired. Like I got my ear operation, but at the same time, we need to trust our gut to heal all the emotional part. So I would like to ask you all, kind of to make a little closure, what are you taking away from this experience today? Who wants to go first?
So I'll go first. So, we've learned how bodies can heal, right? Through our different experiences, through knowing that our diets can really help us and our minds. So that's a big takeaway, right? Something that we can take with us and start communicating with our bodies better and start listening to it to see what is it exactly that it's telling us.
Thank you. Beautiful.
I'll
Creating-
go next. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm open. I've just learned through this whole process of what I've been going through and even joining today is just always learning from having an open mind, that there's all kinds of things that can help us, and things that we don't know about, to have an open mind, and sharing is a huge part of your journey. And you know, I've learned not to be so like afraid of emotions or mental problems, or whatever you want to call them. Everybody has something. So it's okay.
It's okay to express your story because it means to you, right?
Right.
And when somebody listens, they don't have to have an opinion about it, but just the power of listening and the power of expressing.
All right.
So thank you so much for sharing your insights. Do you want anything else? Mariana, do you want to share?
So I learned that I can listen to my body, mind, and soul to release the pain and learn. And I do believe we can heal ourselves, regardless, like if we think medicine's the right or the natural way, holistic. Because like you said, it's like our decision to figure out which way works for our bodies, because we're all different. That's what I learned.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. And I feel that this was a beautiful setup, and it just confirms that this is, it almost makes me emotional, because this is exactly the environment that I wanted to create. And it just happens like magically, right? And that's kind of what my coaching program leads us, is like, my coaching methods is the M&M coaching method. It's manifest, miracles made manifest, and mind and menopause can work together for a better feeling woman. And right now we're 3 M's in the in the call. So
Yeah.
it's kind of very eye-opening that there's a lot of following in my family, and my family and my life. The M's are following me, and I think that I am following them too. So I appreciate your time today, and I would love to extend an invitation also to, and also I think Marisa, if you want further discovery of your journey, if you want to know more about what I do or what she does, she's open to having a conversation individually with you, and also to extend this invitation to other people that are in your lives that might need this, because we can do more of this so that we can bring them and invite them to a VIP experience, and also share what you felt with other people, because the better we feel all around, the better world we will have. So a lot of people don't know about these things until they experience them. It's like, holy moly, it's life-changing. One conversation, one phrase from somebody can completely change your mind. You will have an aha moment that is like, it changed your direction of your life forever.
Right.
But you need to be in the conversation. You need to step forward. So your action today was coming to the Zoom, joining the Zoom and not knowing what it was going to be for, right?
Right.
But we have to take action. And that's why I kind of keep saying everybody, like everybody has to put their action in place. If they want transformation, they have to take the first step. We cannot take it for them.
So Maaike, is this this VIP is not just for menopause? I thought it was only for like females, but
This is kind of my niche, but this can help everyone. It can be men, women. I feel women feel more open when we are between women. So I think there's a lot of power between just speaking women because men think differently.
right.
And it
Beth is like they do.
yeah, they think differently, and it's like it takes a little bit about the power out. I have had amazing conversations with men alone, but I think on one-on-one they open up. In other situations, it's like, oh, these crazy women, it's like they have no idea what we're dealing with. That's why I felt it does not have to be menopausal women, but just women itself. I think there's so much power with us to feel understood, because the purpose of this is to so that you all feel understood
Mhm.
and that it's okay, that what you're feeling is okay. And men kind of tend to judge us because they don't understand.
Mm.
Not only that, nutrition and any type of healing modality will help anyone at any point of their journey. So you don't have to be in menopause per se to even change your health diet, right?
Right.
Because you could be experiencing the same symptoms and not be in menopause.
Exactly.
So, just showing up and listening and sharing experience can help somebody else. It doesn't mean that they're experiencing the exact symptoms, but there may be something you can share that may help somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's sometimes we need to kind of narrow the niche of like the group of
Yeah.
people so that people resonate. Oh, I'm in menopause or I'm in midlife. So it's like, it's easier for them. Oh, I'm here. That's me. I want to connect here.
Yeah.
But this helps everyone. So for you guys to share it with others, now you can share your point of view and it's easier for you to express, to invite. So moving forward, it like if you would like to host, like if you want to host an event like that and invite your family members or invite friends, I think Marisa and me would be open to this because that's our caring heart, to help more people know about these things, that they exist. So I don't know about you, Beth, but if you like, it's easier for some like I had one experience like this last Saturday in person with my neighbor. She invited some friends over. I did it in person. It was so powerful too. It's like one of them said, Maaike, you just had changed my conception of what a wellness coach does, because I thought it was someone who was too lazy to study a career and just did like a little certificate to say they're a wellness coach. Like, no, now I understand you can do so much more for me than any other doctor or other people who have a degree. So I'm not making less or more, but I just changed her perception of what we do as coaches.
Right. Because, well, coaches, we didn't have them. There weren't really coaches 15 years ago. I don't feel like that. It wasn't really out there that much.
No, and Beth is a swim coach, or she was a swim coach for many years.
Yes.
So she knows what it is to be a coach. Exactly.
And I think in this time, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys feel this way, but a lot of the issues arising, like with mental health issues and like the kids with, all these new gadgets, there's a lot that's on the rise. So I feel like more than ever, like that's super important I even think more than even like being like healthy, like exercise wise and stuff like that, because if you're not right here, you can't eat right, you can't sleep right, you can't do anything. You can't exercise, you can't do really much. So once you start liberating that part of yourself, you just take off, you know?
Yes. So yeah, this is an open invitation to, I know, Mariana, you have been teaching before, so you probably like even gathering a group of people, of teachers. I know you've mentioned in the past, they are very close-minded, but because they have no experience with this, when they just allow themselves to listen, it will change their life and it will impact them as teachers for their students as well.
Right.
And for you, Beth, I don't know if you have like friends and members of different groups and communities, if you are open to kind of hosting something like that, the more the merrier, but it's sometimes when you share from what you experience, and it's much easier to connect than when it's the organizer. But from, hey, I went to this, it's like, would you be open to us making one? How
Right.
does that sound to you guys?
That
Yeah.
sounds like a good idea.
My whole life changed with this accident. Like, so that's one thing that happens is like, I was a very outdoor person and now I can't do what my friends used to do. So yeah, it's been different.
So
Exactly.
it's like you don't have the same social group. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because I walk on a cane, and you know, I used to ride a bike 25 miles at a time. So yeah, my life's a lot different now.
Right. I kind of relate to that because I've been divorced for the second time from the same person. And so everybody's married and I'm like single I'm 43. And now I'm like, who do I hang out with? So I totally get that.
Yeah.
You're in transition in that area of your life too.
Right.
So all those little things is like, yeah, and just opening up for conversations. Yeah, so you know our numbers, you know everything. It's like, keep it in the mind, but the summer is a beautiful time also kind of to experience and explore adventures. It's like, I like to say, it's like going on an adventure in your own mind. But if you know where to go, then it's easier, right? So it's an exploration. So I want to extend that invitation to you. If you feel like there's more people that we can impact, that would be great.
Well, that's why I was asking, because I felt like there's guys that I would invite to, like family members, because, you know, like, I don't know, I just feel like they would benefit from that.
Oh,
But
beautiful.
so that would be a good, you know, something. I don't know how they would feel about it, but I mean, I wouldn't mind sharing that because I think they're in dire need of that.
And actually, I have some men that would be really benefited too, because then they start understanding what happens to women when they're in menopause, when they hear more women, more than just their women.
Right.
So they understand and they will be more caring and loving fathers and spouses.
Right.
So this can be really, and thank you for opening that suggestion, because I think it can be very powerful for both sides to express, and for men to be able to.
You would build like an empathy with them hearing that side of it, you know?
Well, not only that, they may have stories to share too, because men tend to, you know, put on that macho face.
Right.
But they may be struggling inside too, and realizing that, you know, being in a space where they can finally open up and talk about what they're struggling inside may be helpful for them.
Right. To hear that other people are going through, especially other men are going through similar things, that they're not like the outcast or the, you know, weird or whatnot, because I think a lot of times, like when I did divorce recovery and divorce care, like it was mainly women and a couple of men. And I'm like, I thought it was brave of the few men that went, because we as women need to hear what they're saying, and they need to hear what we're saying, because then that creates more empathy, and then they can find a better partner, become a better partner, I think. But then after a while, notice like comments that like women were saying, like or like the instructor said something like almost making me feel like he shouldn't be there because he shouldn't listen to something. But I'm like, no, this is what I felt like it was. That's what it was about. You know, they need to hear that. We need to be able to voice our own opinions without, you know, feeling weird or whatever. So I think there's power in that, you know, to hear both sides.
I think so too. We can do these workshops like once a month, and we can put like set a date or something. It's easier to when it's and that way we can invite, and we can probably, I don't know how, I would ask you guys if it would be good if there's like a fee, a small fee recovery for the time, and also for us as coaches to help you, because it will be more empowerment for you, because this is a group coaching, that is already group coaching. And if they decide to work with either of us, then that's their choice, and that, and we're open that. But then I don't know how you will feel about that, but having like a fee for
I
the
think
workshop.
so. I mean, you're professional, so you have to definitely charge something for your time, and you know, but you know, just setting a fee so that you could let others know, and just, you know, that they're prepared to, with the understanding that there will be a fee.
Yeah.
Hey, Mikey, I sign off and I want to thank you because I've got to get to church at 5.
Yes, thank you so much, Beth, for your contribution. Open your mind and and help us. Yeah, thank you for being here.
Nice meeting you, Beth.
Nice meeting you, Beth.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let me stop the recording.